Very, very nice to see you all here. I missed this online class already a bit. We didn't do it now for a while. Now we're going back to it. We have some new people joining us. We have many returners also here with us. So I'm very, very happy to go now with all of you together into the very basics of the internal martial arts, meditation and Qigong. Yeah, and I think it's a perfect beginner's class if you want to start to practice, but at the same time it is also a very good deepening class for more advanced practitioners, people that practice longer already, because the basics of meditation are in everything what we do, right? So when we improve the root of this practice, all other aspects of our practice will improve, and therefore I think it's I'm very happy to teach this now the next 10 sessions for now are planned and go with you through that. We will every second week meet, so you have always then 1 week time to digest, practice for yourself before you get new input in this class. And this is also a bit the idea. Every class I want to give new input. Of course it's also a frame of practice together, but at the same time it is to give you the information, to give you the tools, to remind you of certain things, and then to let you in your daily life find time to do this, to practice this, or to bring it directly into your other practices that you do already. Yeah. Today's class we will focus on the sitting meditation. We will focus on, first of all, a routine, how to get into sitting well, like a small stretching routine. From there we go then into a balancing routine that is a very nice warm-up for sitting, a very nice releasing training also, and at the same time it's also a very nice way to learn, and also later if you want to give that on, to teach how the right posture in our sitting position should be. So this is then the next step of our training. And then we will today, let's see with the time how it works out, but the plan is that we will focus also on what I call the natural breath. So a breath, how the Tao is seen as natural, not what maybe now we feel at the moment is natural, but something that is freed from our habits, freed from tension, freed from stress, and that is nourishing us into all corners of our body. So this practice to this breathing work will also be part of our work today, and something we will look on, because it is very basic, but also because it is very advanced later on. You will see when we go into that. Maybe take care that you have something you can sit on, because as I said, we will sit today. I choose here the sitting pillow. Maybe you need something higher. Maybe you need even a chair. That's also fine. Look for something you can sit comfortable on. It's important that when you go into this cross seat, that the height of your sitting pillow is in a way that the knees are not over the hip. So when you sit like this, I mean, some people have flexibility issues, and it naturally stays like this. Then you need to sit higher, right? And you can also support with pillows on the side in the beginning. But also, if you're more flexible, look that you're able to bring with your pillow the knees under the hip, so the muscles in the front of your legs, but also at your back, lower back area, don't have to hold during the sitting. This is very important to find the right sitting level, the right sitting pillow, especially if you go into longer sitting durations. Maybe today it will not be so completely game changing, but if you sit for 1-2 hours or more, then it's really game changing if you found the right level. Okay, we start when the pillow is prepared with a short stretching routine. First, we release the upper body down, keeping the knees extend, the arms fully relaxed, the head fully giving itself to the weight, and also the lower back completely letting go, so gravity can gradually pull us more into ground. These stretches that we do now
You do quite short, not too long. It's also not stretches that are very, let's say, like uncommon. Yeah, it's quite common stretches that most of you probably know also. But still, it has its purpose to give us a bit of time to enter into our sitting, to prepare the body, to stretch, to open it, so the sitting can right away, or we can right away enter into a good sitting when we start. At the same time, these stretches are also already a form of stretch meditation and Qigong. So take this time also to be in your body, to listen into your body, to slowly observe your breath and to release with the exhale fully the breath and the muscles you feel inside your stretches. Then releasing the knees, coming for a moment into a squat. Ideally your heels are here touching the floor and the weight goes a bit more to the front. The more upright I can stay here, the better. Yeah, if you're rounding yourself, it's also fine, but try to be a bit more upright. Simply give yourself here a moment time. Depending to your flexibility, you can keep the feet parallel, you can open the feet, you can separate the feet a bit more. Then you can bring one knee forward and then step with the foot to the front, going into a basic iliopsoas stretch, the muscle that goes over the leg into the spine. You feel it at the pelvis level when you address it. Here it's important that your pelvis pushes forward and your lower back is trying to stabilize backwards, so you're not hyper-arching the lower back, but you keep the lower back rather round or straight. And don't go now too much into strong stretching positions, into strong pain. Go to the point where the pain starts a bit, the stretch starts to appear, but not further. Make it more like a waking of your body, instead of now having ambitions of opening and stretching the body into the extremes. Just breathing, feeling, softening from the inside. Connecting slowly a bit more with your body. Change the leg. A slight belly movement in your breathing can now also start to help to massage these areas a bit from the inside. Then simply by breathing you
increase the stretch a bit. Then you can sit on your pillow, starting with the next stretch. Bring the feet together, basic butterfly. Try here to keep your back upright, and you can see if it's the weight of your legs, it creates a soft stretch. Just let go of the knees and let them hang down. If you feel like nothing happened, then you can put a bit of weight on your knees with the elbows, trying to keep the heel close to your pelvis and the lower back upright. But still also here, as I said in the exercise before, not more than a subtle stretch. The rest you do with your inner eye, watching the area and the breathing. Then step with one leg over the other. Fold them like that. Hug your knee and pull it to the chest. And then turn the head also, so you bring also a subtle rotation into your spine. Ideally you feel a stretch here in the gluteus, butt muscle, sidewards. And you can see this exercise is a bit like you're planning to go on a long journey and you pack your things. In this packing of the things, you mentally prepare yourself already. Okay, I will go a couple of minutes into this journey. I have a way in front of me, and a bit like this, entering into your body and becoming a bit more quiet with every exercise we do. Changing the other side. Release, coming to the last stretch, extending the legs one more time, grabbing the feet, keeping the knees extended. I mean, if you cannot reach your feet, you can also grab somewhere before, of course. You want to create a stretch in the
upper part of the back of the legs, maybe also lower, and maybe also if you find a way to position the body in your shoulder blades, in your neck, by rolling the head in and by pulling on the feet, your shoulders out of the joint a bit. Stay for a second in the stretch. And then slowly release. And fold the legs slowly. And there is a teaching also which leg is in the front for men, for women, for what meditation. Is something maybe another time we can look on, because for me when I teach meditation, I value more the idea of switching the legs regularly. Yeah, so to teach the body or to open the body in a parallel way. If we sit always with the same side in the front, because we do maybe one specific meditation with one specific teaching, yes, it might have its value for that, but it will also at the same time create a disbalance in our body, which in my opinion has more weight to especially us Western people that anyway have already so much disbalance in the body, that we start then with meditation to create even more disbalance between left and right. Therefore, I say change regularly. Yeah, change regularly the sides, practice with both sides, build the foundation like this for some years, and then if you get more deep into meditation, if you practice more, you can also here and there follow this Taoistic Gong ideas that are there with the sides that try to help you to support in certain things. But these things, in general, I always describe a bit as the powder sugar on the cake. Yeah? That's my stupid example for that. They might help a bit, but the cake is also without that good. Yeah? And it will not change the whole thing if you sit with the wrong side, with the wrong hand mudra. Because we want in meditation to look at the mind first of all. The body is also important, of course, but the body will not change all the work that we do in the mind when we do a good work in this area. Yeah? So therefore I say, let's first focus on balancing the body, having a healthy body, and then we can look at these other things and add these on top. So take now one side that you feel more comfortable, first of all. And then when you start to practice regular, or you practice maybe regular already, take care that you switch them maybe every session, or if you meditate twice a day, once like this, once like that, yeah, and take care that you create a certain routine. This is my recommendation as someone that meditated for many years on one side. Okay. Again, look that you have a good seating position, yeah, good pillow with you. And then there are different positions you can take into your meditation. Yeah? One very basic is the cross seat position. Hope this is how you call it in English. In German, Schneidersitz. Yeah? Where the feet lie under the legs and support a bit the legs. This has a bit the advantage that if you're not so flexible, you have directly the feet to support the hips and the legs in your sitting, and you can relax it a bit more. Yeah? Nevertheless, it disconnects you also a bit from the ground. My favorite position for sitting, in the beginning especially, when you have this flexibility, is this earth position, we call it.
is when both legs fully touch the earth, and this gives you a very wide base of sitting. Yeah? Therefore, I think if you have the flexibility, it is the best position in the sitting, especially in the beginning. And if you don't have it, it's something with the time maybe you want to find and to get into. Yeah? Here the legs really lie next to each other. I'm not putting any pressure on my feet, and this is also one of the plus points, that I don't create pressure points in my sitting. In the cross-seated sit, I have these pressure points that if you sit longer, will also at a certain point cause you pain, and therefore this one is much better, of course. Yeah. Some people can create this position also with, as I said before, with support, yeah, to go into this, but placing some support. Then it can be also very similar as the cross seat, just without the pressure points. Of course, there are also other seats, like the half lotus or the full lotus as well. But here, I think you should have a position that you can sit 1 hour without problem. Yeah? If the lotus is something like that, then it's a position you can consider. Yeah? If you can really relax, sit 1 hour like that, then I say fine, do that. But if it's a challenge, you say like, okay, I will do now the lotus because this is how I feel it on the pictures, right? This is how you really meditate. And then you, after 10 minutes, your feet are gone. Then I think it's the wrong position, because you will create another exercise for yourself. Yeah. Therefore, I usually don't recommend this in the beginning. And also the half lotus, I don't really recommend, because it is also a very unbalanced position. If I put one leg into the strong stretch, I sit in my pelvis very uneven. Yeah? Okay, so much to the seats. So we can continue into our entering balancing routine for the sitting. In order to position our body, we'll go exercise to different balancing practices that will show you a bit where is your weight, how you hold your body. And these exercises are there to balance, but also to create more awareness. Where is tension? How can I release it? How can I get more subtle in this work? Yeah, how can I look deeper into my body? And how do I align my body between heaven and earth? So I'm not holding gravity with my spine, with my sit, but I'm able to guide gravity through my spine, through bridge structure slowly into the earth until I give it through my legs into the ground. Yeah? The first exercise starts by slowly shifting forward and backward. Yeah, so I'm rolling on my sitting bones, feeling the weight, and looking when certain muscles activate because I'm too much leaning back, and when certain muscles activate when I'm leaning too much forward. And where is the point where the least activation is happening? And I do this exercise, which is focused now on the weight and the sitting bones, the hip joints, but at the same time I'm looking at the whole body, because muscles all over the body start to activate in a reflex way. And the more quiet I get in this, the more I do this, the more I will also find new tensions that I didn't observe maybe another time before. I mean, in the learning process it's maybe now a bit difficult, but of course later you can hear also slowly release the eyelids a bit, go into a more closed position. So you have more awareness, more attention into the body. Now after a couple of repetitions, you start slowly, repetition for repetition, to get a bit smaller in your whipping. And you try to come closer with that to this neutral point that is between forward and backward, that is between tension creation until then you arrive slowly into a quiet position, perfectly balanced in the middle. Then you start to shift the weight from right to left without changing forward and backward ideally. Yeah, so you keep the weight in the middle and linear, you just move from right to left. I feel sometimes the weight a bit more on the right sitting bone, one time a bit more on the left sitting bone. And if you have this earth sitting position as I do it now, you can also feel how not just the sitting bone gets filled with weight, but also the leg and the knee that is connected to the earth gets a bit more heavy and then a bit less heavy again. Then we proceed here as the time before. During the next 6 to 9 repetition, you get smaller and smaller in your motion until you find the perfect middle between left and right. So the weight is perfectly even on both sitting bones, on both legs. Usually this middle point here, forward, backward, left, right, has the tendency to be a bit more leaning forward from the feeling. Yeah? You don't want to sit now too much back. So take care that if you fall into one diagonal, it's slightly forward diagonal and not backward, because then you really have to hold a lot with the muscles in the front of your pelvis. When you lean forward, you have a releasing movement for your hip joints, which will help to keep the legs open during your sitting. Coming to the next point, the lower back, which we roll now forward and backward, curling the spine into a really round position and then into a hyper-arching forward curling position course, this will change now a bit, also our sitting bone weight placement. But you can also try to reduce this weight shift while you do it and really try to see, okay, how do I move mainly my spine without changing too much the weight on the sitting bones. In some of these exercises, you will feel maybe pain. There, I recommend you never go more into the pain. Stay before that, stay soft to your body. Open the area, not by trying to stretch into it, but by trying to move more, by trying to stay soft, staying attentive. Pain always creates more tension as a first reaction. And now in this practice we really want to, with every exercise, develop more softness. Then also get here smaller. And here the middle we define a bit different. We want to find now the middle, so the back is round and relaxed. We're not holding the lower back too much. But you also don't want to completely collapse into the lower back. And this is maybe the main difference of standing Qigong positioning. We will later look onto in later classes. Because in standing Qigong, usually we try really to relax the lower back as much as possible. Because of the tension in our hip joints, it's anyway already difficult to relax the lower back in standing. But in sitting, it's more easy to completely let it collapse. Therefore, here we need to find the middle, the positioning in a way that we keep it round, but it's still alive. This means there's still a certain upwards alignment in tension inside, some kind of holding that is not tensioning now too much the back, but it is keeping us from the bottom of our spine alive, awake, and it is nurturing the whole spine upwards. Yeah, you can feel if you completely collapse in the lower back, the whole spine feels like, oh. But if I keep the lower back a bit, this upwards erected, then the whole spine is filled with life. And yet still we don't want to make it feel like tension and too much holding effort. So this is the in-between we want to find. Between roundness and between softness and still alive positioning. With that we go then into the next point, the chest. And here we want to pull the chest bone really back and out of the body. Into the body, out of the body. The difficult point here is now that we don't want to address with that our lower back anymore. This is very difficult because of course the lower back and the chest area are connected through the spine. So it needs a quite high level of coordination in your spine that you're able to keep the lower back as positioned and you start to move only the upper parts of your spine in order to move the chest bone out and in. You can look in this exercise if the spine segments are able to move independently or if you move the spine segments behind the spine, behind the chest bone
as one piece. You can look at the shoulders, if you're holding them now, or if you're able to completely let them hang down while you move the chest. Like that, it will help you movement by movement to reduce again tension and fill your body with a bit more awareness. Then also here we find the middle point, which is a chest bone that is dropping onto the lower back, but it is not forcing now the lower back into too much curling. So as heavy as possible without taking the feeling of life of the lower back. Coming then to the neck. And here it's very important for the neck and the head position that we still have this sense of freedom, lightness. And this we test with a simple rotation movement from left to right, first of all. It's sometimes difficult to keep the head light when the whole body is more focusing and emphasizing this downward releasing, this sitting into the floor, settling into gravity. The head is the only part that really want to float up, expressing the principle of heaven. Also slowly get here, smaller and smaller. Find the middle between left and right. Till you stand in the middle. Going to the last exercise, which is about curling the head forward and backward. For many beginners here, it's the first challenge is to understand how do I create this movement. How do I bend my neck? How do I extend it? How is this connected to my head position? So do this as a awareness training, but also slight stretches into both directions, because we are shortened there through our daily habits. So to get the head into the really right position is for most of the people a longer process. And also here, find in the next 6 to 9 repetitions the middle. And also here the middle is maybe a bit differently defined. We want the most upright neck we get,
Yeah, so the neck is more straight, the back of the head pulling backward, with the least amount of tension. So in this getting smaller, you look, okay, how do I balance it into a more upright position? How do I reduce tension in that? How is that not creating tension in my chest? And there you need to find a compromise that you widen over the years a bit. And again, as I said, the most important is that you still have a feeling of a light head, not like locking your head into the neck. So that now the head is positioned almost like you're hanging on the crown, the highest point of the head, the baihui, on a rope, holding the head here. The positioning of the back of the head is backwards and the chin is a bit falling down, so you're not looking up, but rather slightly diagonal downwards. But it should also not be like that you only see the floor, that you don't see anything in the front of you anymore. If you look now at your body, you should have your head floating nicely over the chest, feeling the weight of the head in your chest. Should feel the weight of the chest on the pelvis, and you should feel the weight of the whole body traveling through your sitting bones, through your legs, evenly into the floor. All mainly done through the right positioning of your spine, that you take out a bit this different curves, you create one slight arc from the tailbone to the head that serves like a bridge that can guide from one end of your body to the other end, gravity into the ground. The better you position your body, the less your muscles have to hold, the less you will feel pain in your body. But as in standing Qigong, also in sitting, this is a process to find this, to open the body more. And it's a process that also never ends, because also our daily life is always changing. Our situation in our body is always changing. So it's something that I say, you not balance your body once and then you're done, but it's something the balancing is the practice, and also the goal that we go. This constant awareness of how do I get better in balancing. And this is always something we can improve and work on and get better in. And therefore also this balancing exercise is something I recommend, especially also to more advanced practitioners, even so it seems like a very basic work. Take then our hands into Baoyan Shouyi. Can take the right hand into the left hand, and the thumb tips can touch very slightly. Don't lean them like this to each other, but really just touch them slightly without giving the weight of one hand to the other. And also take care that you don't create something too flat or too high, but create something nice, evenly round. This you can then position in front of your lap, while the elbows don't want to fall completely to the side, but open a bit to the front. We will take now a couple of more minutes to look at the body, to establish also the last points of sitting. Starting therefore at our forehead, reducing the tension at our forehead, reducing the tension in our eyes, the area around, but also the eyelids on top. To find here also the right position. And usually we want to find this in between open and closed eyes. The eyelid, when it's fully relaxed, it's not closing or it's opening fully, but its neutral position is in between. So the better we get in fully releasing the eye area, the more our closed eyes will transform into half open eyes. For some people it's very difficult to find this, then I say don't force that. You can also close the eyes or keep them fully open. But with the time it's really a very good thing to find this, because it's inviting you directly more into this in-between zone that we want to find in meditation, between being awake, being conscious, but at the same time also letting go and entering into this more subconscious part of our mind. Our tongue we place behind the teeth, on the upper palate, very softly touching with the tip of the tongue directly behind the teeth. It can be a more round shape of the tongue, but it can also, especially if the time it's happening often, become a more flat positioning of the tongue on the roof of your mouth. That's also fine. Here you should look that you create not much tension doing that. And at the same time you try to release the jaw muscles, the face muscles, all the muscles around. So this positioning of the tongue is the only reason why your mouth is not opening. So we create a slight inner controlling tension, positioning with the tongue in order to relax fully the rest of the face and still not opening the mouth through that. Give also a short moment, one more time, into the front of your neck. See that you're not tensing here, holding the neck here too much. Especially then also this connection of the muscle from the neck to the clavicular bone, this bone here over the chest. Sometimes this can be very tense. See that you keep that soft. See that your rib cage is soft, connecting to the chest bone, the ribs, but also onto the spine. So you're not blocking the breath.
Give also one more time a short look into your pelvis, especially the front area. If you have tension here, if you giving space here so the flow into the legs is free. And then we just simply sit for the next few minutes in quietness like this, looking at these different points, observing into the body. Letting all this settle a bit in quietness.
sitting in this quietness. Bring slowly the attention more to your breath. Watch at your breath, but don't change it, don't do anything with it. Just look where it goes into the body, what movement it creates inside your body. And what rhythm it's going in and out with. Maybe we know already things about the breath, how it should look like. Then this exercise gets even more difficult. Because we need to find ourselves back to a more neutral point of view again. Point of view that does not know anything. And you will see with the time that this very basic exercise, looking at the breath and not doing anything with it, is already a very high level practice. Because with the time we observe that with the moment that we observe, we start to change without even often noticing it. So this exercise is first about noticing this change, reducing it, but then also again to fully reduce this influence that we have on it. It's only possible if we able to do this watching at the breath, not from our own standpoint anymore. As long as we looking with ourself on it, we will keep influencing it. So the observation of the breath without changing it requires a high level ability of Wu Wei, doing without doing. And this makes just this simple exercise already a very interesting meditation practice. I will give you a couple of seconds with that before we enter into the second of 3 steps to the natural breath. This breath that you are doing now should feel good, should feel free. If you feel like you create tension through that, take the awareness for a moment away again from this exercise. Transition then to the second step, in which we try to keep doing exactly what we did now, but we bring a bit more attention into the exhale. In the exhale, we fully let go of our breathing muscles, of the breath, as if we are relieved. This might change a bit the breathing rhythm you did before. And it seems also a bit contradiction to the exercise before that we said we don't want to change the breath. We don't want to do the breath. The idea here is that we are not doing the breath, we are just letting go of it. Letting go of it and waiting then for the inhale to come back by itself. With every exhale, almost like we don't know what will happen after. Is it coming back? Is it not coming back? It doesn't matter. We just sit and we observe. And we let go again. Coming then to the third and final step, building up this natural breath practice. Now to this not interfering, to this letting go of the breath. We add to the rest of our breathing motion that we observed so far a very subtle belly movement. So that the belly is with the inhale expanding slightly and with the exhale collapsing back into the body. This we have to do with a very subtle intention, not too much. Usually we do them way too much movement, way too much intention. It shouldn't interfere the breathing motion we observed so far. or most likely in the breath that we don't influence, we breathe a bit higher towards the chest, towards the rib cage. We see their movement. This movement should still stay alive and only add a small motion in the belly more. We don't try to make the exhale longer or anything through that. Don't try to make the inhale longer through that. We still fully let go of the breath with every exhale and wait for the inhale to come for itself. We still try to do all that without really doing that. Being there present with the awareness, but at the same time also giving our mind freedom, allowing other thoughts. And ideally, this is not creating tension inside your body in any way. Whenever you feel like tension or an uncomfortable feeling in your belly, diaphragma area, go a step back. Sometimes maybe even to the very beginning before you were looking at your breath. And then build it up again slowly and observe when and how this tension is building up. How can you reduce that? So that tension and the feeling of a free breath is your first and most important criterion to value your breath and to look at your breath if it's going to the right direction or not so right direction. With that we sit a couple of more minutes.
slowly come back. Open the arms. Inhale and close one time. Arms rise with the inhale, arms sink with the exhale. The practice of the natural breath, to explain this for a moment again, is from my opinion a very important and good practice for different things. Yeah? I explained in the meditation already a bit like this Wu-Wei aspect of it, this like becoming more aware of how much we interfere into certain processes in our body without noticing it even, and getting a bit better in reducing that. At the same time, this is teaching us to observe, to get more quiet in observation, to take ourselves a bit out from this active observation, more to a universal kind of observation. But then also very simple, like how do I influence, change my breath, make it deeper without influencing and changing it too much. Yeah, because I think often we have a bit the problem that we learn how the breath should look like. We have these guidelines: breathe slow, breathe quiet, breathe rhythmic, breathe into the belly. And with all these guidelines, we start to change the breath to something very unnatural. And many people have even more tension than in the body. Yeah, they feel after the meditation or in the meditation restricted in the breath because we try to do too much, influence too much. Yeah? And this technique is helping us a bit to go in another way to that, to change the breath, to invite it into deeper areas, to deepen it, but at the same time being very, very careful and subtle in that work. Yeah? So, and you will see when you sit longer, when you practice this more, all these guidelines you learned of this breath should be quiet, the breath should be rhythmic, the breath should be slow, and this kind of things, they will happen suddenly by itself. You have this point, suddenly the breath is switching into something else in your sitting, without you doing that, in a very natural way. This requires a bit to practice that, and it requires also that you sit a bit longer, that you can find this in this natural pattern. So I say, if you breathe a bit louder, if you have a different breath of what you learned maybe should be the breath, but this feels good, then follow that direction, practice that, and let it transform by itself. I like this comparison to like agriculture, farming, and the breath you can see a bit like a river, a strong river that has its natural flow. If now the farmer comes and says, okay, I take the whole river to my plants, to my field, the dantian is called elixir field also, then he's changing the natural course of the river. Maybe the river will even dry out, or the river will flood the whole field and bring too much water. So a smart farmer is taking a small tunnel or sideway from the river away and bring it to its field, just the right amount. And then like that, nurture the field and let life grow there. And this fits very well to our idea of developing the dantian, developing the breath as we want it in Taoistic practices. We don't want to destroy and totally change what is there now, because this is a very strong act and a very strong interfering into something that is now at the moment, as it is also in a way natural. But yes, we want to help nature to find even more harmony again in nature, and therefore we help it a bit. We guide a slight water tunnel to our field, so plants can grow there better and establish there also a kind of harmony and life. So this is a bit how I compare these breathing techniques. Look at this river that you have, look at the breath as you breathe now, and then find a way, in a very subtle way, to guide a bit of your water into the belly, and don't force everything into the belly so the diaphragm
is getting tense, and you create an even more forced and artificial kind of breathing, as you do anyway, maybe now already, through all the habits of tension and breath. At the same time, this releasing exhale is helping you to release more tensions, yeah? And the more you release your tensions, the better your body is positioning, the more space your breath has again, and the more also, again, you can find in your breathing work more harmony. Okay, I went today already quite over time, therefore I will wrap it up here now. Just wanted to complete that, yeah. Time runs very, very fast. Was surprised, yeah. Felt like, oh, maybe we did just 45 minutes, but then it was 1.5. So yeah, I will try next classes to be a bit more on time, more precise, but be also ready to sit one time 10 minutes longer, or yeah, and to don't schedule your next appointment directly at 7, but maybe give a bit time before and after the classes. So yeah, we have this dynamic, natural way of doing this class and not interrupting it in a very specific point. Okay, thank you very much for joining today, being part of this first session. We will continue next week with another sitting session, building up on that from today. Feel free to practice these things, yeah. You can do this as a full meditation practice, stretching, balancing the body, and sitting then for half an hour. Can also be less, can also be more, of course. And then, yeah, you have a very nice entering into meditation.